Starting with the hips, big circles. Leading the way with the hips, trying to completely move around the pelvis. And changing directions, complete circles. Okay, slightly wider stance. As the pelvis rolls back, the body comes forward. Pelvis goes forward, the body comes up. And 20 of these. You want more of a challenge? Bring the hands to the center of the chest. One more. Narrowing that stance a little bit. And same thing with the pelvis. The pelvis rolls back, the body sinks, pelvis comes forward, lift and back, and 2. Ten more. Last one. All right, widening the stance a little bit. Body is parallel to the ground, turn, and then pass the hand. 1. And 10 more of the swoop. 1, 2. All right, coming back up to a more narrow stance. This is the same movement as the first exercise. The only difference is there's a wider base now. So as the hips roll back, I'm still rolling the pelvis in a complete circle, just adding in that dip as I roll through. So 20 of these. 1 complete circle. 3. Making sure the hips go all the way around. And other direction. Make sure the circle goes all the way around, back, forward to the side. Also make sure you're never locking out your knees. Even when I roll back to get down, there's still some bend in this knee. Let it roll to the other side. Last one. All right, shake that out for a moment. See me get my marking tape. Okay, so starting on tape side, externally rotating that hip, so the hip comes in, around, back, and through. For the first 3 revolutions, focus on making sure the hip is completing a full circle all the way through. Once that hip circle feels smooth and also complete, start adding in those basic postural elements, the grabbing with the feet, drawing the belly to the spine, and raising that head neck at the occiput, right at the back of the head. If all that is too much to do at once, start with the feet. Then draw the umbilicus to the lumbar. And finally, add that suspension up top. And now for non-tape side, big external rotations. Begin by just describing that circle. Adding in toe grab. And then belly draw. And finally that head neck lift. Still making sure the circle is complete all the way around and through. From here, bring back that other hip, and now we're drawing that figure 8. So I roll around back. As I come back in, I switch hips. Switch hips, rolling left to right. Again, first few moments, just make sure that figure 8 is nice and smooth and well defined. From there, adding in the foot grab, belly draw, and head neck raise. Continue that for 2 seconds. Let's see how everyone's doing. Good, slow it down a little bit, Galen. There you go, work on making sure the roll is complete on each side. Good. In April, focus a little more on the front aspect of that roll. So by that I mean, as I come through, the hip rolls up and then arcs around, rolls up and then draws around. And that belly draw, that umbilical draw to the spine will help you to better define that roll up as you come around and through. Good. Very nice, Laura and Rachel. Okay, next up, timer back. And tape side, internal rotation. So again, first few revolutions, just making sure you're drawing a complete circle back, around, and in. Then adding in the foot grab, which will limit the amplitude of your movement a bit. From there, the belly draw, which will help that movement to traverse up the middle and reach the shoulders. And finally, that head neck raise, which gives your body some suspension. And other leg. Again, first 2 circles, make sure the circle is there, as complete as you can make it. And as you're ready, adding on those 3 postural elements. Now carrying that inner rotation, connect in the other hip. Circling around, forward and back, around, forward and back. Playing with that foot grab, belly draw, and head neck lift as we go. Continue. Good. Sink the stance just a little bit, Galen. There you go. Try to describe that full shape, drawing up to the middle, through the head neck as you move. All right. From now, shake the legs out. Bring the feet together and some knee circles. So hands resting on the top of the kneecap. Big circles, 5 times each direction. 1, 3, 4, 5. Change directions. Okay, the legs go forward, open, draw back, and in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good. Shake those out. All right, next up are big circles to press, okay? So we're going to start with just those big circles. The arms reach one direction, the hips reach the other, hands and belly cross and separate. Drawing up and open. Hands and belly part ways and draw back together. Playing with this arc. Continue for a moment. Good. Drawing with the very back of the palm of the hand. So as I draw around, the palms draw me up. I create space, leading with the heels, the palms draw back. And change directions. First few circles, go nice and easy, just play with that shape. Continue for a moment. Very nice. Everyone's getting the hang of this one. It's looking good. Relax your breath as you coil. Good. Okay, next up, we go from that arc, the hip roll, and press, changing sides each time. Roll, round the tape side, drill that not tape side as I press. Roll, round the tape side, drill the non-tape side. Nice and easy. No big stretches yet, just play with that revolution back and forth. Continue at your own pace. Good. Rachel, watch my hands for a second. Can you see me okay? Awesome. So as I come through, see how that front hand arcs under? And that becomes the base for the press. As I roll, that lead hand arcs under, forming that spear as I press out, so the hands draw together. The non-tape side hand rolls under as I roll the hip. And as I drill into that back leg, I'm already set for that press one last time. I roll around. As I round the tape side hand rolls under. As I drill the non-tape side, I press out. Good. Make sense? Awesome. Let's take a look at Laura. Good. Same thing for you, Laura. The hip movement's looking a lot better. Watch my hands for a second. As I come around, as I begin to round this hip, the hand rolls under. And as I drill that back leg, that space fills. Good. So I roll. That lead hand rounds under. There you go. And don't press out quite so far. Notice my posture, Laura. As I press out, my back is straight, plumb line to my heels. So I'm pushing out as I sink down. I don't want to be leaning forward as I press out. I want the energy to go up and down. And then this circle to just expand ever so slightly. Good. So let's do a couple more together. As we round, the hand rolls under. There you go. Much better, much better. Now it'll feel a lot nicer on your knees as you play with it. That's great. Good. Remember the hand position. You want both hands angled just a little bit towards that target. Good, Laura. That posture is looking a lot more solid. And April, that hand's looking a lot more coordinated. You're all making some good progress here. About 30 more seconds, so I'll add in something else. Timer back. And everyone relax for just a moment and shake it out. You're all doing awesome tonight. So the new thing for today's iteration of that ward off is exactly when that hand rolls under and becomes part of the press, right? In the beginning, I don't focus on it too much because the hips are so confusing. I want all this to make really good sense before we put details on the upper body. But if you watch me for a second, as I roll through, you can see how that rolling of that non-tape hip Gives me all that space to coil the body up, create that circle, and as I drill that back leg, I present that circle to the partner. I roll, draw into that sphere, and as I drill, I'm creating that elastic compression, okay? So again, as you play with this and watch this video on YouTube as you review, just take time with that, try to feel the roll to hand position, the drill to press, and then that stretch as it corresponds to that sinking and lifting in that drilling leg. And once you begin to bottom that movement out, it immediately springs into the next. So it should never feel like you're starting from nothing. You're never so extended that you have to move before you can move. There should always be enough stretch left in your motion to immediately draw you back into the next shape. Does that make sense to everyone? Awesome. Let's add some stepping into this to make it fun. So with stepping, it's the exact same pattern, right? I'll demonstrate a couple. So that roll to press without movement, without stepping rather. Now for that step, the roll brings all the weight onto the tape side leg. From there, it's really easy. We draw the other foot in and notice the hand begins to arc with that step. As I arc out, my hands are now in position. As I roll that front foot and drill into the back. Pressing to the side, drawing that foot up, the hand begins to roll, round to press. All right, let's give this a try together. Tape side foot forward. As I draw, non-tape side comes up, hand begins to arc, rounding the leg, it's in position, drilling into that back foot, I press out. Drawing to the side, round to press. Draw, pulling that weight up, pulling the foot up, step, roll to press. All right, a couple more. Keep playing with that for a few moments. We'll make some corrections just a second here. Good Lord, making sure that you're not going past the angle of your knee as you press in. Notice as I draw through, I'm sinking. My weight's never over here. I always hit my weight back. It's in a relaxed stance. My knees always feel secure and safe. Drawing into that foot. Pressing through.
I think what I get confused in is which side to press. So because this is kind of a little bit new movement, I get confused about which side I'm pressing.
Gotcha. So if
I hesitate.
So if I'm pressing towards that tape side, drawing in, see I'm pulling that foot up. From here, the hands and foot cross as I step out. I round that front hip and then drill into that back hip as I push through. Drawing, now the tape side is going to step up. The tape side steps out. I roll that hip, drill into the back hip as I press, draw, feet together, step out, roll the hip, drill the back hip, and so on. Does that help a little? Awesome. All right, Rachel, let's take a look. Okay, Rachel, watch where my head is in relation to my hands. as I press through. I'm watching the hands as they pull. Now my eyes come forward as I press out. Watching the hands as I pull. Step, the eyes come forward as I round to drill. 1, eyes still in, step, eyes come up, roll to drill. Good. Again. There you go. Feel your back is now moving more in line with your body. It's looking much better, all of you. Any questions so far on this? Okay, let's add in one more element. Because we almost have that aesthetic from the form. We're super close. So watch me for a moment. So from that press out in the form, in the Ta Lu, that front hand turns. From here, there's a vertical circle that takes place as my body rolls. And as that hand draws in, that even in a more deep way, pulls that hip up, step, roll to press. Reach, vertical roll, pull, foot touches, crosses, round to press, roll to pull, step, round to press. All right, let's give that a try together. So, tape side forward, or in our press. From here, the tape side hand reaches. Both palms are now facing down. There's a roll that turns the hip in a little bit, that non-tape side hip. From here, I continue that pull as that hip comes up, passes around, roll to press. Non-tape side hand comes forward, roll that ball, pull that back hip up, step, round to drill. Hand adjusts, vertical roll. Continue that roll as it pulls the foot up, stepping out, round to drill. Reach, vertical roll. And notice how as that tape side hand comes up and over and begins to descend, it's during that descent that it draws in to the hip. Stepping, rolling to press. 2 more together, and I'll watch all of you. Tape side hand leads, roll that ball. The hand descends, pulling that back hip up as the hand and foot cross. Roll to drill. Vertical roll, holding that back hip up. Step, round the front hip, drill the back hip, and continue at your own pace while I check out how everyone is doing. That knee angle looks much better. Good. So Laura, as you press out, the initial position is palm to palm. And then from that palm to palm, the far hand turns. So now both palms are down. And so it's 1, 2, then roll the ball. Yeah, good. And then the hip comes up just like you were doing. That part's looking great. Good. Step, step out. Excellent. Round and drill and press. As we press out, there you go. Make sure the hands have that nice, even space. Good. Front hand turns. Roll that ball. As the hands descend, they pull the hip up. Very nice. Rounding out as we step. Good. Roll that front hip. Drill the back hip as that space inside the chest fills. And you want to make sure you're pressing over the front leg. Good. Draw. There you go. Good. And then pressing towards me. Excellent. And as you press, make sure that it's the back of that front hand is going towards the partner first. Right, right. And so I'm pushing away with the palm of my back hand, exactly, and then the back of my front hand. There you go, very nice. Just like, yes, just like that. That's great, you got it. All right, Rachel. Tobin's helping. Good, so everything's looking really good, save for that backhand in transition, which gets a little dead and stale, right? Just look at that for a second. What I mean by that is, you're great here. That front hand turns, that's great. Now watch the relationship between the two hands. As that front hand drops, the back hand lifts. You see that? And it's not a big lift, it's just a little bit of a lift as it rolls that ball, okay? Now as I pull, I come into that hip as the feet touch. And now see the position of my hands? Right? As I step out, I roll, and as I drill, that fills. Good. Reach. A little bit of a lift as I roll over on the descent, drawing that back hip up. Feet touch. Now see my hips are in the hands are in chamber here, both hands together on the tape side. As I arc out, they're in ready. I roll, they're lifting just a little. As I drill, exactly. That way there's no big jump in the hands. They're kind of adjusting bit by bit with the rest of the body. There's that first roll, pulling that foot up. Good, see how both hands are together as I step out. Then now push position, roll the front hip, right above the umbilicus, and then drill, and they press forward. Yeah, make sense? Awesome. Everyone practice that for about 20 more seconds. We'll go on to the next thing. You're all doing really well. Good, Rachel. There you go. Okay, any questions so far? Is this making pretty good sense? Everyone's knees doing okay? Awesome. Okay, so let's take a bit of a break from the roll to press. We will get back to this. And let's go over the very first part of the form, which kind of bridges, the base movement into this roll to press. Night, kids. Night, Fritz. Night, Jane.
Night, Dada.
Night, Dada.
Sleep well, you two. Be nice to your mama, okay? All right, so. Watching me first. The form starts with feet at about shoulder width. As we relax the knees down, the hands draw up and come in. The chest concaves as the hands draw down, and as they do so, the knees draw in just a little. As the hands round the legs, they pull the knees back out to stable. As I lift up, I feel that middle filling. The hands go slightly behind my body. And as I concave my chest yet again, hands come forward, drawing in, pressing out, and then right into our first set of these, okay? So we're gonna drill that intro a few times. Any questions on the movements first? Okay, let's go over it. So feet are about shoulder width. As the arms draw up, the body softens. As the hands roll in, we continue that gentle sinking. The hands draw down that center line, and as they do, the knees roll in just a little. Once the hands get to the level of the knees, they round outwards, pulling the knees to arch. Palms face forward, hands come slightly behind the back. As I sink again, the hands come in front and meet with the right fingers just a little in front of the left. Hands come to the chest, and the chest comes to the hands. And the shape rolls and softens and fills. Twice more together, then we'll break it down a bit more. So again, nice relaxed stance. As we inhale, the arms lift. When the arms get to parallel with the ground, we begin our exhalation, and the arms arc up and in, right to yin tong between the eyes, drawing down the front of the body. As we get to our knees, drawing the knees to stable. As we raise up, belly filling. Sinking as the hands come together. Right hand just a little in front of the left. The chest and the hands draw together, roll, and very gently press out. Once more. Relax the weight, relax the breath. As we inhale, the legs straighten just a bit as the arms begin to rise. As they get to parallel with the ground, we begin our exhalation as the arms round, drawing in and sink. And as we sink, those knees draw in just a bit. Round the knees, fill the middle. Arms arc up as we sink, hands come together, drawing the chest and the hands together. Elbows are relaxed and press. Good. Any questions on that so far? Do all those movements make sense? More or less? Good. Awesome. Let's drill a couple more times and I'll watch all of you give it a try. So again, relaxed stance. As I breathe in, the body raises. The arms raise. As I breathe out, the chest concaves. I create a rounding in my shoulders and belly to draw the hands in and guide them down as I sink. I round the knees, my belly fills. Exhaling as the hands come in front. My elbows are low. I draw the hands in and press the hands out. One last time, all of us together. On that inhalation, we raise. As we exhale, the body rounds and the hands draw in, sinking. The knees relax as well. The hands draw the knees back to stable. And as I raise it, the whole body stacks on top of itself. Finding that balance, I can now sit back as the hands draw in, drawing up, roll, gently press away. Okay, so all of you, give that a try. And just do your best. Good. So there's a lot of subtle work here with how the breath leads the body. And that can be kind of tricksy in the beginning. The most important piece to remember up front is that inhaling is a tensing process. Exhaling is a relaxing process. And so there's a movement that kind of lifts and builds. It's usually done in inhalation. If there's a movement that kind of relaxes and settles in, that's to be done in exhalation, right? And so as I go over this again, pay more attention to the breath this time. My knees are relaxed, right? I'm not locked out in my legs. As I inhale, the whole body lifts in suspension, like there's a string attached to the top of my head, lifting me up like a marionette. As I exhale, everything begins to cave in, right? I've gone from yang to yin. As I melt in, even the legs are drawing in the middle as they kind of draw and clasp into themselves. I use that exhalation again to draw my legs back out. Now that I have my base, as I continue to lift, I'm stacking each part of my body on top of itself to create a solid foundation through that inhalation. As I exhale the next time, the chest concaves, everything draws in. Inhaling, the draw up. Exhaling, that relaxed press out. So you can see how there's a kind of cadence and rhythm to how the breath guides the movements. Does that make sense? Awesome. Let's go over this again one last time. This time we'll connect it to the ward-off presses we've been doing, okay? So from the beginning, once more. Relaxed stance, relaxed posture. Feet grab the ground just a little. Belly draws the spine, head, neck raise. From here, as I inhale, the body begins to lift. My arms hit parallel, and I begin that exhalation, and the arms round. As they draw down, knees bend, knees draw together just a bit. Around the knees, pulling them back to stable, stacking the body on top of itself as I lift up. As I exhale again, the hands draw to that center, elbows are low and relaxed. Inhale to draw the hands and the chest together. Hands turn, gentle exhale as they press away. Now from here, the hands are going to round, drawing that tape side foot in, and we step out, round that front foot, to press, reach, roll, drawing the hands to the hips, so the hand begins to arc under almost immediately. As I step out, roll, to drill, reach, body draws over, pulling that hip up, stepping out, round, to press. And now for this last one, that front hand is going to reach and continue to reach until it pulls my back foot off the ground, and then carry that movement across and begin to enter the next phase of the form. Okay? Any questions? You've all done awesome tonight. There's a lot of review on some old stuff and a little bit of new. Does this pace feel okay? I can go faster, I can go slower. It all depends on what you all need, okay? Cool. So let's do a couple minutes of standing and then we will call it. As always, there's a good chance I'll post this, and if you don't want to be on YouTube, just, don't send me anything. If you're okay being on YouTube, let me know and I will be sure to add you there. Sound good? Awesome.
Appreciate you posting so much, Joe. Really, seriously.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I'll make sure you have all the tools that you need. So let's do some standing. All right, starting with those feet together. Relax the weight down. From here, the weight pours from that non-tape side hip into the tape side hip, filling that leg. And now there's going to be a lift of that opposite leg, but we're not just going to lift up from the knee. We want to lift up from the hip. And in order to do that, we want to feel a cross-body draw from this hip to this shoulder. And so it's kind of like you're about to do a stomach crunch, but haven't quite committed to lifting your body off the ground yet. You're going to feel that abdominal engagement, belly drawing to the spine, hip in alignment, as you raise that leg up with those deeper postural muscles. Stepping out to the side, and then let the weight distribute and fill evenly between those 2 feet. If you want to, it's totally okay to look down at your feet, make sure they're parallel, make sure everything's in a line. Eventually you gain proprioception for this, but it's always okay to spot check. From here, as we relax and sit down, I want to make sure that umbilicus is attached to the back because I don't want the hips to roll back. I want to make sure that as I sink, I feel my quad muscles engage as my weight drops. If I don't, the weight's going into the knees, and that can lead to unhappiness later on in your training. So again, make sure you feel the quads as you sink in and the arms rise. Notice how there's a slight concavity in my chest. I achieve that by gently knitting the clavicles, these 2 long bones together in front. That knitting creates a splaying of the scapula, those flat bones in the back. And that roundness is then continued through my arms all the way through my fingertips. There's a gentle engagement through all of these structures holding that spear. Head neck is, as always, gently raising up towards the ceiling. Feet are gently grabbing at the ground. And continue to hold. Good, Rachel, make sure your elbows are heavy. There you go. You're gonna feel the weight of those elbows on your belly, okay? Does that make sense? Awesome. Good, April and Galen. Everyone make sure you can really feel your legs as you sink down. You wanna keep as much weight as you can out of the knees. Good. Relax your breath. As the body raises and the hands sink. The weight pours back. Once again, drawing cross body as the foot lifts and the feet come together. Breathing in as the hands raise. Relaxing the breath and breathing out as the hands sink. For more masculine energy, right hand over left. More feminine, left hand over right. Either way is fine. The re-rolling of the dantian. Change direction. Okay. Great work, everybody. Any questions?